In Damascus, a small town in Nigeria, you won't find it to be like any town. You won't see any children walking to school, neither will you hear the overlapping sounds of conversation spoken in many languages, or the chorus of voices singing in church. You won't see anyone walking the streets or working in the fields. Why? Because Damascus is a ghost town. Instead, you will find a mass grave with decaying bodies, some without heads, left to rot in the middle of the street. The lives of the town people were taken away at the hands of Boko Haram, an Islamic terrorist organization that originated in Nigeria. Especially now in recent news, we see that Nigerians are being subjected to cruel and inhumane torture by Boko Haram. These actions violate the Declaration of Human Rights Articles, number 3, that everyone has a right to life, liberty, and security of person, and number 5, no one shall be subjected to torture or cruel, inhumane, or degrading punishment. Boko Haram has taken the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. They have misplaced millions of men, women, and children, and have destroyed multiple towns, schools, and churches. Boko Haram has instilled fear in the lives of the Nigerians for the past 13 years. If these rights were better enforced, many lives would be saved, and the people of Nigeria would feel safe. Nigerians have been subjected to violence before in their history. The natives were once sold as slaves through the 16th through the 18th centuries, but it wasn't about until the late 1800s and early 1900s that Nigeria started seeing a lot more violence and torture. Conflicts between Islamic and Christian states broke out, which led to hate crimes and terrorism. In 1893, an Islamic renegade fanatic invaded a region from Darfur, beheading, looting, and enslaving all kneeling in a similar manner to Boko Haram today. Past events and conflicts like this are what fuel the Boko Haram and their actions today. They don't believe that Christian states should have political power, and they want the government to do more about the animosity between the Muslim North and the Christian South. They've turned to violence and torture to help make their message clear. There are obviously plenty of problems, as you can see. Human rights like Articles 3 and 5 from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights need to be enforced. But the question is, how can we fix these problems? I believe that Nigeria, as a government, as a military, and as a people, can make a tremendous difference in the fight against Boko Haram if they were to be more involved. The government needs to actively participate in preventing violence. This means following through with the prosecution of criminals and passing laws that could help prevent any further destruction, as well as become less vulnerable to corruption. The Nigerian government's involvement in the fight against Boko Haram has been noticeably absent or otherwise lacking. The government has tried to address the dissatisfaction of the northern states in court, but were unsuccessful because the court was considered unfair. In 2011, a report by Human Rights Watch said that corruption is so pervasive in Nigeria it has turned public service for many into a kind of criminal enterprise. In other words, the Boko Haram is not receiving the punishment they deserve because the government is so easily persuaded and bribed. In over 10 years, less than 200 individuals have been prosecuted for violence, despite strong evidence. Rather than prosecute, federal and state officials have repeatedly formed commissions of inquiry to review the causes of the violence and make recommendations to prevent further violence. But these recommendations are never enforced. It may take some time, but I believe that if the government were to get more involved, if Nigeria as a whole, as a military, and as a people were to become more involved, they would enforce human rights and make a big difference for their country. Nigerians would live in a safe place, protected from